There's something about abandoned places that always fascinated me, until that night in 2015, the night I realized some places are better left forgotten. It was 2015, and I decided to take a solo road trip deep into the forest a few hours from home. My goal was to reach an old, abandoned fire lookout I had read about online. Technically, I wasn't supposed to be there. It was unsafe, off-limits, and falling apart. But that only made me more curious. The last post I found about it was from 3 years ago, so I had no idea what I'd find. I parked on the side of a narrow road, grabbed my gear for 2 days, and started hiking. There was no trail, just endless trees and rough terrain. My handheld GPS was the only thing keeping me on track. After nearly 5 exhausting hours, the woods grew thicker and quieter. I was hoping the lookout was still standing, because if not, I'd have to camp out there alone. When I finally saw it, the tower, it felt unreal. Peeking above the trees, it looked surprisingly intact. The metal ladder creaked as I climbed, but it held. From the top, the view was breathtaking, miles and miles of untouched forest. No roads, no houses, no people. Just silence. Inside was small, maybe 150 square feet. A rotting bed in one corner, an old desk in another, and cracked windows all around. It was falling apart, but still felt sturdy enough. I set up my sleeping bag, cooked a meal on my tiny stove, and sat on the ledge to watch the sunset. The sky burnt orange before vanishing into total darkness. Sometime later that night, I saw something. A faint orange glow moving between the trees below. It wasn't a flashlight. It flickered like a torch. Someone was out there. Who hikes deep into the woods at night with a torch? I don't even remember how long I sat there, paralyzed, before I finally hit the headlights. The beam lit up the figure instantly. He was still right there. But his face, it looked wrong, stretched, almost twitching. He squinted, turned, and sprinted straight into the trees. That was enough. I started the van. This time it roared to life. I drove. I still live in my van, but now I only park in open lots, near other people, and I keep a camera recording every night. Sometimes when I review the footage, I swear I see shadows moving just beyond. Each step made the ladder groan louder. My heart pounded as I unzipped my sleeping bag and grabbed my backpack. I crept toward the ledge. The sound suddenly stopped. I peeked over. Nobody. Then, footsteps. Fast. Running along the walkway behind me. I saw a shadow dart past the windows. That was enough. I grabbed the ladder and climbed down as fast as I could. Halfway down, I looked up. A head leaned over the edge, staring at me. I jumped the last few steps, ran into the woods, and didn't stop until I reached my car hours later. I drove away without looking back. To this day, I don't know who that person was, or what they wanted. But every time I see an old tower in the woods, I can't help but wonder if someone's still up there, waiting for the next visitor. It was supposed to be a quiet weekend. Just me, the woods, and a small hidden lake my dad used to take me to when I was a kid. But that weekend, it turned into something I still can't explain. I arrived early on Friday. The place was just as I remembered. Calm, isolated, no trails, no signs of life. Only a thin dirt path led to it, and it wasn't even on any map. I set up camp right by the water, got a fire going, and spent the entire day doing nothing but relaxing. For years I'd come here, and I'd never seen anyone else. No campers, no fishermen, not even a car parked near the entrance road. It always felt like my place, a secret nobody else knew about. The next morning, I spent hours walking around the lake, just following the edge, lost in thought. But on my third lap, I saw something that stopped me. Footprints. Not shoe prints. Bare footprints. They came out from the woods, stopped at the tree line, and pointed directly toward the water. I froze. They looked fresh. The rain hadn't washed them away. And what made it worse, I'd been walking that same loop for hours. They weren't there before, so whoever made them must have come while I was walking. By sunset, the forest felt different, heavier, quieter. I couldn't stop staring across the lake, waiting to see movement among the trees. When night fell, I built my fire high, more for comfort than warmth. Then, footsteps, soft, deliberate, approaching from the darkness behind me. Two shapes slowly emerged from between the trees, a man and a woman. They stopped right at the edge of the firelight. I couldn't see their faces, only silhouettes. "Can I help you?" I asked. The woman instantly turned and ran back into the woods, but the man stayed completely still. He didn't say a word, didn't move. That's when I noticed he was barefoot. I didn't wait. I packed up everything I could, my tent, my bag, my flashlight, all in under 5 minutes. I didn't even bother putting the fire out completely. I just kicked the logs away and ran into the trees. The trail back to my truck was almost 2 hours long. For the first few minutes, I couldn't tell if I was being followed, but then I heard it. Footsteps, running, barefoot, sometimes on my left, sometimes on my right. Never too close, but never gone. They were toying with me. When I finally reached my truck, I slammed the doors, locked them, and drove until I saw the main road. The forest behind me was pitch black. No lights, no sounds, no sign of anyone following. I never found out who they were. Maybe locals messing around, or maybe something else. But I'll tell you this. In all the years I've been camping, I've never gone back to that lake, and I never will. There's something strangely peaceful about sleeping inside a van, parked somewhere quiet in the middle of nowhere. That's what I used to think, until one night changed the way I look at the dark forever. For the last 2 years, I'd been living out of my van, traveling state to state, documenting small towns and abandoned places for my YouTube channel. It was a simple life. Wake up, make coffee, drive, film, edit, sleep. And honestly, I loved it. No rent, no neighbors, no noise. That night, I stopped at a rest area just outside a tiny mountain town. No lights, no sounds except crickets and the faint hum of the highway in the distance. I parked under a single street lamp, locked the doors, and crawled into the back to sleep. Sometime after midnight, I woke up to a sound. Knock, knock, knock. It was light, like fingertips tapping against the metal of the van. I froze, listening. After a few seconds, I looked through the back window. Nobody. The street lamp flickered above me, buzzing faintly. I checked the time, 2:43 a.m. Then came another knock. But this time, it was lower, on the side door. My first thought was, maybe someone needed help. But something about the timing didn't feel right. I peered through the small curtain covering the side window and saw a man standing just inches from the glass. He was facing the van directly, completely still. No flashlight, no phone, no movement. Just standing there, staring. When I reached for my phone, I accidentally brushed against the curtain, and in that instant, his head snapped toward me. His eyes met mine through the glass. He smiled. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. For a solid minute, he just stood there. That same crooked smile frozen on his face. Then, he slowly walked toward the front of the van. I could hear his bare feet dragging on the gravel. He stopped at the driver's side door, and I heard the handle jiggle. Once, twice, then harder. My hands were shaking as I turned the ignition key, but the engine didn't start. It was dead silent except for his slow, heavy breathing outside. I don't even remember how long I sat there, paralyzed, before I finally hit the headlights. The beam lit up the figure instantly. He was still right there. But his face, it looked wrong, stretched, almost twitching. He squinted, turned, and sprinted straight into the trees. That was enough. I started the van. This time it roared to life. I drove for hours before I dared to stop again. The next morning, I checked the outside of the van. Smudges on every window, fingerprints, and a single word written in the dust on the back. STAY. I still live in my van, but now I only park in open lots, near other people, and I keep a camera recording every night. Sometimes when I review the footage, I swear I see shadows moving just beyond the light, like he's still out there, waiting for me to stop somewhere quiet again.